In 2006, Cameron said, "We're going to do Avatar first. I'm directing it. I'm directing all these films." Battle Angel is designed as a 3-film cycle.
James Cameron, he's doing the research and development for the entire industry right now. Some of the technology utilized to make Alita have been now utilized for the Avatar sequels. There is a way that this film might eventually achieve some kind of profitability carried forward into the Avatar sequels.
What's up, Alita Army? Doc Ito here with an Alita update. The doctor is in. Today, we're talking about the Avatar sequel delay. A whole nother year to wait until we return to Pandora in James Cameron epic sequels coming up. And I want to talk about how Alita and Avatar are, for better or worse, linked, and forever will be in many ways, because of the history of how these two movies were made and how James Cameron decided to work on them. But first, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss any of Doc Ito's free repairs. This week, Disney announced another delay to the Avatar sequels. They won't arrive until 2021, and apparently Star Wars movies are going to alternate with Avatar sequels for the better part of a decade, every Christmas time. While Avatar is still the highest grossing movie of all time without adjusting for inflation, Endgame is catching up and may overtake it. However, the last few days it's performing much worse than Infinity War, indicating it might slow down and might actually not pass Avatar. And the reason Avatar matters, especially for us Alita fans, is that these two movies have been linked from the start, being that they're James Cameron's passion projects, and we'll go into the full history of this. Cameron tweeted, "Busy on set, no time to hang around, dropping in to share the news on the Avatar delay." And Alita Army had something to say. Alita Sequel, Alita, 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 and so on and so forth. Pretty much all of the replies to this movie, this is kind of funny. "It's been 84 years, hurry up." All these replies, though, are Alita 2, Alita 2, Alita 2. We are fighting for an Alita sequel. We want an Alita sequel. Although, sure, we're excited for Avatar as well. The fans are speaking up, and there's no doubt people notice this. James Cameron knows. He knows. Sorry, I have to laugh at this. James Cameron knows how much love there is for Alita and how many people want this sequel to happen. And they are going to have to respond. I mean, there's so much passion for this. I mean, there's almost more passion for an Alita sequel than an Avatar sequel. But let's take a trip back in time with Anime News Network. This is from 2004. In an NPR interview, James Cameron was asked about his next movie, Alita, Battle Angel. Back then, it was just called Battle Angel. This is 2004, 15 years ago. In 2003, Cameron confirmed the movie was in pre-production, and he was working on the movie for several years at that point. They were finishing shooting up a draft and designing it as a big science fiction film. Even though it's live action, the main character will be done with CG animation. In 2004, Revenge of the Sith hadn't even come out, and this was the most famous CGI character. I can't imagine what Alita would have been like if it came out at that time. And while we don't like to wait, I for one am glad we got Alita the way we got her. So let's fast forward about 6 months. According to The Hollywood Reporter, James Cameron might bring another film to the big screen before completing Battle Angel. They're reporting he's working on something called Project 880, and they might film that before Battle Angel. According to the sources, Cameron's Lightstorm Entertainment, Battle Angel is proving difficult to adapt, and Cameron has not released a non-documentary movie since Titanic, the highest grossing movie of all time at the global box office. Titanic, which came out in 1997. So here we were looking at about a decade since Cameron made a movie. Next year in 2006, MTV had a long article about a Titanic mastermind, Cameron, and his 2 sci-fi trilogies. I wonder what movie could be a trilogy. Nearly 10 years ago, he appointed himself king of the world. But after a decade of unrealistic expectations, false starts, and rumors, James Cameron is finally ready to reclaim his crown. And here's what he says about Alita and Avatar. "I have 2 franchises, if you will, or films that play out over an arc of a number of films that I am going to be making. I won't make them back to back, but one after another. In turn, they might spawn back-to-back sequels. It all depends on how the first one does. Both Avatar and Battle Angel," he added, "will begin with self-contained movies along the lines of the original Star Wars trilogy. They have to be individual films, but as a greater story arc that goes over the 3-film cycle." He's not a fan of Matrix Reloaded cliffhangers, and thinks it works best when you don't just run people off the cliff after the second film. The first of these films is a long-rumored love story against the backdrop of a planet-hopping future. known by several names, Project 880, which will probably be released as Avatar. We're going to do Avatar first. I'm directing it. I'm directing all these films. And with Battle Angel, we'll do the same thing, a sci-fi thriller about a female cyborg in the 26th century. Battle Angel is designed as a 3-film cycle, so the logic there is to make one, and if it hits, boom boom on the other two. So clearly, the plan for this movie is not a sequel, it's a trilogy. And this is kind of interesting here, because Robert Rodriguez was not in the picture at this time, but Cameron says he watched with great interest as Sin City filmmaker Robert Rodriguez reinvented the graphic novel movie with his green screen breakthroughs. Angel won't be such a slave to the colored page. It'll be a cinematic style. It won't be a moving graphic novel. I think what Robert did with Sin City was a spectacular visual experiment. I think it worked brilliantly, but that's not what I'm going for. It's more of a cinematic photoreal feel. And over a decade later, Robert Rodriguez brought that photoreal feel to Alita, and we are so happy with it. And Avatar came out 3 years later after Cameron changed his mind from working on Alita to Avatar. And as they say, the rest is history. Now, beyond the link historically between these two movies, they share a ton of technology. And you know we've covered John Campea thinking an Alita sequel is likely to happen. During these interviews, they had an interesting back and forth about the development of Alita and how James Cameron is essentially doing the research and development for the entire movie industry, and how a lot of the Alita cost is partially due to technology that he's developing not just for Alita, but for the Avatar sequels.
Somebody asked, why did they approve like at a $200 million budget? 2 words, James Cameron. That's why.
James Cameron movies he's doing the research and development for the entire industry right now.
All the way back to The Abyss. So this was some research and development he was doing for Avatar. The 3D, the environments.
Some of the technology that they utilized to make Alita have been now utilized for the Avatar sequels and moving forward. So I think that there is a way that this film might eventually achieve some kind of profitability in some way, shape, or form, even if that's carried forward into the Avatar sequels. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, because they could probably make a sequel far cheaper than they made this first film. And we could see Alita return.
So I wonder if these costs for Alita at $200 million are actually higher than they need it to be, because some of those costs are going forward to Avatar. Now, with different studios making these movies, I don't think you can just throw that offhand and take off $50 million off the budget for Alita, because a studio wouldn't finance another studio's project. But it is very possible that the money spent on the Avatar sequels will allow Cameron to develop even better tech for an Alita sequel, making a potential Alita sequel even cheaper. I mean, think about it. The motion capture and the CGI now having been built for Alita, any advances they make in Avatar with the sequels can very easily be ported by Landau, Weta, and company to an Alita sequel, increasing the odds of a sequel occurring. In addition to this, the fact that Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and Disney is also heavily involved, obviously, with the the Avatar sequels. Yes, we do want Alita sequels. Might actually help, because Cameron could go to Disney and say, listen, Alita and Avatar are a package in many ways. The work I'm doing on one movie transfers to the other. It's going to be very easy for me and Robert Rodriguez to just make an Alita sequel. And having that synergy between the two might actually help us going down the road. And I do think it's important for Avatar to do well. If Cameron can prove that he can make a lot of money with these sequels and the movies are successful, the studios will let him have an Alita sequel if we don't hear anything before then. Of course, we want these sequels confirmed way before 2021 or 2022 or whenever that is. We don't want to wait forever. But for now, these movies are linked, for better or worse, not just based on their history, but possibly based on where they're going to. The petition keeps going toward 15,000 votes for an Alita sequel. Remember to sign if you haven't. On IMDb, we fought off The Fall to 7.5 over the last week, jumping back up to 7.6. However, the movie has fallen back to 7.5. Remember to vote for the movie and to vote for at least 20-30 movies, not all 1s or 10s, to make sure your vote counts, since they use a weighted average. It's not unexpected for the movie to fall. It might fall even further, as typically movies do fall once they come out in theaters. But it's still important for us to try to get this number as high as possible by showing our true support and love for the movie. And for anyone that has bought Alita merchandise, remember to leave an honest review at Amazon or wherever you go. to show that the merchandise is high quality and that it has a lot of fans for it. We will continue to fight for the sequel and support this movie. We do not stand by in the presence of evil. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Doc out, and we'll talk to you soon.